What did the llama say to his wife before they left on vacation? I'll pack us. I want the 100th episode to be really great, and I'm worried it's not going to be. So my goal is to bring the quality down for these next two so that 100 will sort of pop in comparison. And so felt like I needed a punny llama alpaca joke to open things up. So walked over to Bezos' office this morning, and I think my man came through again. Only 2 more corrections until 100, which means 2 things. 1, I'm out. And 2, that syndication money starts rolling in. Woo! A bidding war. Nobody at this network believed in us when we said we were going to do corrections. Nobody at this network believed us when we said we were going to do corrections. I said, we're going to do corrections. You don't think it'll work. And they said, it's immaterial whether it works. We just don't understand why. Hey, I started last week's correction. I talked slow on purpose for a joke. And someone said, that reminded me of how you talked when you used to do a standing monologue. Someone else said it didn't work as a bit because I talked slow, but the crew laughs were fast when you heard them. And I knew that would be a problem, and we tried to rehearse all week, and I tried to teach the crew how to laugh slow. And the problem was, when Buck laughs differently, the lights start to flicker, and there was like a tiny little tear in the universe. It turns out Buck's laugh's pretty integral to everything. It's like a metronomic effect on the universe. If he laughs slower, like Ben Franklin comes in and is like, what are these dark arts? And a jackal named Megan, again, we're trying to use our names, sent me this very thoughtful keychain. The problem is I don't carry keys. I open doors with, there's no easy way to say this, I open doors with fame and money. Someone said my Biden sounds like Andy Samberg doing Wahlberg. That is Samberg doing Mark Wahlberg. Very unfair. We got the best economy in the world. No lie. No lie. Say hi to your mother for me. Okay, it is. Someone said stop using corrections to ruin movies. And I couldn't, for the life of me, did I ruin the ending of Free Willy? Did you think Willy didn't make it? In the kids' movie, Free Willy, you thought the whale died in Free Willy? Give me a break. We changed the podcast tag based on my instructions to Lederman last week, and a bunch of you said it's really bad and wonky. In Lederman's defense, he sent it to me and said, how does it look? And I said, it looks great, and I definitely didn't watch it. As per my MO. But everybody's like, we don't like it. We don't want to hear about the new podcast. So great. You don't want to hear about it? Here's the new Lederman. This is the new tag. Ready? Or don't. By the way, Corrections has a podcast. That is not a joke. I mean, it's a joke that it's a podcast, but it does actually exist. It is just the audio of all these corrections. So if you thought it could get denser and harder to enjoy, do listen to a bunch of sight gag dependent jokes. I don't know where you can find it, but I'll tell you where you Can't find it on the podcast charts. There was never lead in pencils. There was a time when people thought graphite was lead hundreds of years ago, and that is because back then people were stupid. So you were never at risk of lead poisoning from pencils, except there was lead in the paint. Well, what do you mean legal says we can't clear the clip? Yeah, but a friend of mine is in that movie and he said we could use it. Oh, I don't want to say which friend. Who does he play? Well, it's like 2 parts. I don't want to get into it. Yeah, but the problem is we don't have a clip we own of a drink dropping, which I feel like is really... Oh, wait, you know what? Actually, sorry. Except there's lead in the paint. So this is real... Verbal Kint is Kaiser Soze. Ruin that for you. Mentioned that Zoe and Michael were married last weekend. A couple of staffers here on the show. Congratulations to them. I heard it was great. They were married by our security guard, John O'Malley, who went out, got a certificate so that he could legally oversee the proceedings. And while I heard he was great, and it was very sweet that he did that, the fallout has been a disaster. There's no easy way to say this. John has been marrying late-night staffers all week without their consent, against their will, with no forethought as to their chemistry or the long-term plans. He married Donna and Kenny, and it is not going well. Amber and Scollins, and look, I get that Amber was upset about it, but I still think her vows used the word bitch way too much. And I tried to stop it. I brought John into my office, and I was like, John, on whose authority are you doing this? And he's like, by the powers vested in me. I asked Jim to stop him, and he's like, I can't. He's got a badge. He's got a badge. He's above the law. Hey, so this is weird. You know, we ran that sketch, Jules. Somebody said, hey, I was at your show in September, maybe? And you filmed Jules. And I was waiting for it to air, and then it didn't air for 5 months. And I'm just wondering why you would film it, not air it, and then film it again. It's an excellent question. We originally, when we filmed Jules, there was a lot of talk about how I preferred Jules to world peace in my dreams of what I wanted for the world. And then the world became a very unpeaceful place, and we were worried that it would be in bad taste. So we rewrote it, we took that out, we filmed it again. It would just be such a shame if Jules left a bad taste, because it was written for people with impeccable taste. Corrections, somebody wrote a very sweet thing. A lot of people are asking me not to stop after 100. I am very flattered. Someone said corrections is the best thing to come out of COVID. It's very sweet. Personally, for me, the best thing that came out of COVID was a PPE loan I took out for my shell company that the government then forgave, and so I never had to pay that back. Here's a nice comment. This is my least favorite Seth Meyers bit, having no crowd except for his writers battling to kiss his ass to see who can fake laugh the loudest. Trust me, by the time Correction airs, they're on their flights to the Bahamas. This makes it hard to watch. The only thing that can make it worse would be if they put that creepy fisherman painting he used during COVID in the background. First of all, he was not a creepy fisherman. He was a sea captain. He had a degree. Second of all, that sea captain has a message for you.
Off, dude.
And that actually brings us to something kind of cool. You know, a lot of people said, oh, there's not going to be any innovation because we're so late in the run of Corrections. But it's a new little segment we like to call Corrections Behind the Curtain. When I call the sea captain and ask him to record a line on his phone, he gives me a lot of options. And so we thought you might enjoy seeing all those options at once. Take a look.
Off, dude. Off, dude. Off, dude. Got a cough there. Off, dude.
Not sure we're going to do that one again. We had our 10-year anniversary last week, and I thanked everybody, which is very important for me to do. And one person I didn't thank by name was Shoemaker. I think one reason is I couldn't possibly find the words to do that. And the second would be if I did find the words, I don't know if I could say them without crying. And then, much like the opportune arrival of Birdbane last week, someone sent in a really cool thing. And this is someone who doesn't know Shoemaker, and yet I realized when I opened it that they see him, just from watching the show, they see him the way that I do. I don't like that everybody thinks like... I don't like that everybody's like, oh, this is going to be a bit. This is some, you know what? Because like because he's, you know, and I bet everybody here would say it, right? Like, my name's in the title. But everybody who works here knows that this is his show. And the reason we all love each other and we all get along as much as we do is because of the standard he sets. And so anyways, I would like to thank my friend Bees who sent this in. And I think when I show it, everybody who's ever worked with Mikey the Shoe will say, yeah. They're going to say, yeah. That's how I see him, too. See me next week.